The geopolitical temperature of the Middle East has moved from a fever pitch to a state of total, incinerating confrontation. As of March 16, 2026, the strategic silence of the Persian Gulf has been shattered by the mechanical roar of the U.S. Navy's most potent assets. Following weeks of high-altitude dominance by B-2 Spirit bombers and the rapid repositioning of Marine Expeditionary Units, the Pentagon has executed the ultimate power move. Carrier Strike Group 3, CSG-3, led by the nuclear-powered USS Abraham Lincoln, CVN-72, has officially crossed the threshold into the Persian Gulf. For the leadership in Tehran, currently reeling from the loss of Supreme Leader Ali Khamenei and the fragmentation of the IRGC command structure, the arrival of the carrier is not just a military escalation. It is a psychological shock and awe event. The Abraham Lincoln, accompanied by a screen of Arleigh Burke-class destroyers and the Ticonderoga-class guided missile cruiser USS Mobile Bay, now sits squarely within the bathtub, effectively putting the Iranian coastline under a continuous 24-hour umbrella of F-35C Lightning II and F divided by a -18E Super Hornet sorties. The Armada's entry, defying the kill zone. For years, Iranian military doctrine centered on the anti-access/area denial, A2/AD, capability of the Strait of Hormuz. The IRGC claimed that the strait was a kill zone, where U.S. carriers would be sitting ducks for swarms of suicide boats, midget submarines, and anti-ship ballistic missiles. However, as CSG-3 charged through the narrow choke point on March 15th, the expected swarm never materialized. This was due to the devastating efficacy of Operation Epic Fury's opening phases. The B-2 strikes on February 28th had already gutted Iran's coastal radar and long-range missile batteries. As the Abraham Lincoln moved through the strait, it was preceded by a digital wall, a massive electronic warfare effort led by EA-18G Growlers that effectively blinded any remaining Iranian coastal sensors. The shock in Tehran stems from the realization that their primary deterrent has been neutralized. The impregnable strait is now a highway for American steel. The 75-plane fist, air power at the doorstep. With the USS Abraham Lincoln now operating from within the Gulf, the flight time for U.S. strike packages has been reduced from hours to mere minutes. Carrier Air Wing 9, CVW-9, is currently launching pulse strikes, high-volume waves of aircraft that hit targets and return for rearming in a continuous cycle. The impact on Tehran is immediate and visible. Precision neutralization, the F-35C fleet is focusing on decapitation strikes, targeting the hardened communication bunkers in the northern districts of the capital where the Mojtaba Khamenei regime is reportedly attempting to regroup. The Su-35 duel. While Iran has scrambled its new Russian-made Su-35 flanker ES to intercept the carrier's air wing, the technical gap has proven insurmountable. In a series of engagements over the weekend, the Lincoln Super Hornets, guided by E-2D Hawkeye early warning aircraft, reportedly downed 4 Iranian Su-35s without a single U.S. loss. Psychological warfare. The shock is amplified by the fact that the carrier is operating so close to the shore that its sonic booms are regularly rattling windows in the city of Bandar Abbas, serving as a constant, thundering reminder of the U.S. presence. The Kilo hunt and subsurface dominance. Despite the surface panic, the true silent war is happening beneath the waves. Satellite imagery from March 14th revealed that Iran had desperately returned its freshly modernized Russian Kilo-class submarine, the Tariq, to service. Tehran hoped that the Kilo, known as the Black Hole for its quietness, could pose a credible threat to the Lincoln. The Carrier Strike Group's anti-submarine screen, led by the USS Jason Dunham, has turned the Persian Gulf into a transparent pond. Using advanced active/passive sonar arrays and MH-60 or Seahawk helicopters, the U.S. Navy has effectively boxed in the Iranian subsurface fleet. Reports indicate that at least 2 Iranian Ghadar-class midget submarines were forced to the surface and disabled after being tracked for 48 hours without respite. This total maritime dominance means that Iran's last remaining lever of naval power has been snapped. The Strait Escort and global markets. The mission of CSG 3 is not purely offensive, it is economic. With global oil prices having surged by 50% following the closure of the Strait of Hormuz, the Carrier Strike Group has been tasked with the forced reopening of the sea lanes. President Donald Trump, in a recent briefing, noted that the U.S. would begin forced convoys, with the Lincoln's Air Wing providing a continuous combat air patrol over merchant tankers. This has led to a surreal scene in the Gulf. Massive VLCC, very large crude carriers, are once again beginning to move, flanked on either side by American destroyers and overflown by F-35s. The panic in Tehran is fueled by the failure of their economic leverage. They held the world's energy hostage, and the U.S. Navy simply walked into the room and took the hostage back. The red zone collapse, Tehran in transition. In the Iranian capital, the shock has manifested as a complete breakdown of civilian and military coordination. With the Abraham Lincoln's EA-18G growlers jamming all state-run frequencies, the regime's ability to propagate its resistance narrative has vanished. Instead, residents are receiving digital leaflets on their smartphones, messages from CENTCOM urging them to stay away from military installations and promising that the war is with the regime, not the people. The physical presence of the carrier has also triggered a massive internal migration. Pro-government supporters are fleeing toward the eastern deserts, while the youth-led Zan, Zindagi, Azadi, Woman, Life, Freedom movement has reportedly begun seizing control of local neighborhoods in Isfahan and Shiraz, emboldened by the collapse of the IRGC's invincibility. The shock isn't just that the Americans are in the Gulf. It's that the Islamic Republic's wall of fear has finally cracked. Maximum pressure, minimum exit. Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth has remained stoic about the carrier's arrival, describing it as the logical conclusion of maximum pressure. Unlike the B-2s, which strike and return to Missouri, the Carrier Strike Group is a permanent, visible, and shifting threat. It is a sovereign piece of American territory parked 50 miles off the enemy's coast. As the smoke from the refinery strikes on Karg Island drifts toward the horizon, the silhouette of the USS Abraham Lincoln stands as the definitive answer to the 2026 crisis. The U.S. Navy has not just entered the Gulf, it has occupied the strategic center of the Iranian world. The shock in Tehran is the sound of a regime realizing it is out of time, out of options, and out of allies. The world now watches the bathtub of the Persian Gulf. With the B-2s above, the Marines on the shore, and a carrier strike group in the center, the military encirclement of the Iranian regime is complete. The only question remains, will Tehran seek a ceasefire, or will they wait for the steel rain to bring the final curtain down? The strategic reality is now undeniable. With American steel choking the Gulf and ghosts haunting the skies, the regime's foundation has crumbled, leaving Tehran to face a final, inevitable reckoning.